Brand Builder, welcome to the third part of this series where we're talking about the strategic elements you need to implement as you go through each growth stage. Today I'm talking about what do you do from 100K to 500K, and this is so exciting to me because you will notice a lot of them are shifts. Why? Because many people believe they need to add more in order to have more, but that is not the case. Today we're going to talk about what are the shifts you can begin to implement in order for you to get to your first 500K in your product-based business. Welcome to my show. If you're new here, my name is Maureen. I'm a brand growth strategist and I help product-based entrepreneurs by teaching them the sales and marketing strategies they need to scale their beloved product brand with scientific precision and become a household name. So let's talk about the first shift you need to make when you're trying to leap to the 500K in revenue. And the first thing we're going to talk about is shifting from selling a product to selling a brand. Why? Branding is why people buy you. Marketing is how people find you. And what that means is consumers are literally looking for an experience, are looking for an emotion, are looking for a feeling. And in order for you to scale, you've got to think about what messaging or what brand am I trying to build so that I can build a community around it. Like, think about when I say branding today, I want you to think about the soul of your product, the soul of your business. What is that soul? What is that thing you want people to buy into? This is so important because if you lean in heavily into focusing on selling a product, you're going to be a commodity. I'm just going to say that. Why? Because people are going to compare you with other features and elements that you don't want them to do. So what does that mean? They will look at your price and look at what's the difference between this product price point and this other product's price point. People are going to also be just nitpicky and just scrutinize everything that you're trying to sell, and that doesn't take you anywhere. And if you continue thinking about selling a product, your profits and your revenues are going to plateau. So right now, what is the soul of your business? What is that one thing you want people to buy into? What is that one thing, one singular concept you want everybody to rally around? Then the second thing I want you to think about is I want to shift your perspective from you needing more tactics to looking at the data your business already has. And why am I saying this? When you're moving from 100K to 500K, you're probably at a stage where you've already sold a lot of things. You've sold enough products. And you're asking yourself, A, is this a fluke? Or B, how can I consistently make sure that I keep the momentum without burning myself out? Right? If you don't want to burn yourself out, the only way you can do that is in leaning into the data you already have. And that data is already hidden in your brand right now, in the processes you've been doing. And when I'm saying data, I'm not talking about like you having to have like an Oracle database for you to say you have data. I'm talking about your price points, your margins, your repeat rate. I'm talking about your return on money invested. I'm talking about your gross margins. I'm talking about the products that sell the most. Because this, in essence, is what allows you to determine what is the next tactic or what is the next strategy I need to do. So when I talk about one of the metrics I really want to hone in on right now is like return on money invested. And I say this because what people tend to do is they want to grow to 500K and they want to grow rapidly. So what happens is they invest into paid ads, right? Paid marketing, which is not a bad thing. But when you invest into paid marketing, you'll notice a lot of the partners and agencies will lean into return on ad spend. And so basically return on ad spend means like if I'm putting in $2,000 in ad spend, how much more am I making out of that 2,000? Am I making less than 2,000 or am I making more than 2,000? However, for a product-based business, there's so many things that go into bringing your product to life. And so you not only have to look at return on ad spend, but you also have to look into return on money invested, because you have your labor to bring that product to life. You have your raw materials to bring that product to life. You have a lot of things that are taking place in order to birth that product. I want you to look into that. And I'm passionate about this because I work as fractional CMOs to brands within this stage. And oftentimes when they want to dabble into paid ads, they don't view that as something to consider. And that's usually the metric I look at, because you could be spending $2,000, you're getting $4,000 out of that $2,000, and you're not making any money because we haven't factored in what it takes to bring that product to life. And one of my clients was losing a lot of money. And when we tapped into this, we realized that, hey, we don't need to be doing paid ads because we're not making anything else. We're not making money out of it. So when you see that, you're probably thinking, so what do I need to do? First of all, you need to ask yourself, why am I doing paid ads? Am I doing paid ads because I don't have an organic way of bringing clients? If your answer is yes, why don't you have an organic way of bringing clients? Chances are high it stems back into your messaging, it stems back into your marketing plan, it stems back into your content plan. So work on making sure you've dialed in the organic element first, your messaging, your marketing strategy, your content plan, and then think about how you're going to add in paid ads in this stage. That's why I'm talking a lot about shifts, because when you look at the data that is already hidden in your brand right now, you're going to find the things that need to be tweaked and the things that need to be addressed. If you're noticing your repeat rate is low, you're going to find out, hey, why aren't people coming back to me? If people are not coming back to me, then you're probably having a business that is running really fast for you, and you're not retaining a lot of the cash flow because money is just coming out. But in order for you to build a sustainable business, I learned this concept of the leaky bucket. You're constantly going to have customers coming in and customers coming out. So the role as a brand, a CMO or a founder is to make sure that the bucket is not leaking. And how do you ensure the bucket is not leaking? By making sure you're retaining your people. So go back and look at what are your repeat rates. So in essence, this shift is all about, instead of adding more tactics, lean into the data that you already have to find out what the narrative or the story is and gather the feedback to find out your next step. And if you don't know how to interpret your data, and this is something very common because a lot of product entrepreneurs tend to be creatives, I want you to find somebody who can help you, and I'm the person for you. If you want to take this a step further, just click the link in the description box and let's schedule a consultation to talk about how you can use my data analysis, my ability to look at data and tell that story to build your brand so that you can focus on being a creative. Because here, when people hear data, most of my people have told me that data makes them feel like they're constricting, that like they cannot do much. But I'm here to share with you that data allows you to become a more empowered CEO and make strategic decisions for growth that your business actually needs. And now the third thing, the third shift here that I want you to focus on is shifting your mindset from grow to growing profitably. Like, this is important to me because when you make your first 100K, the most common thing I see in this space is saying, I want to make 500K in 12 months. Basically, what that means, you want to be in hyper growth. And what I mean by hyper growth is you're growing so fast in a way that you may not be able to sustain it, or sometimes you haven't thought about what is required to maintain that growth. And I am a great example of that. Like, when I started my business in the second year, I moved from closing out the year at 75,000 to finishing out the next year at 350,000. That was, I can't even do the math what that growth rate was. But let me tell you, my friend, I was not ready for that, because with that growth comes a lot of cash. You're burning through a lot of cash. It came with me almost losing myself and losing my mind because I could not sustain the growth. It came with me building a team rapidly. My client roster was growing. My team was also growing. My clients needed to be served. My team needed to be onboarded, and I was the one doing it. And for me, it was just because I wanted to just like what everybody does. You finish the first year, like, oh, I want to know how it feels to make like 500,000. For me, I was like, I want to know how it feels to make at least 400K. Granted, I did it, but I did it in a way that was not sustainable. And that is why when I say this, I want you to shift from grow to growing profitably, because the decisions you make when you're growing profitably are very different from the decisions you make when you're just in hypergrowth. Because in hypergrowth, you're basically just pumping a lot of money to fuel your growth, and you want to make sure you have cash reserves to sustain that. You've managed your energy to deal with that, and you've also given yourself you've given your mind a way to conceptualize it and understand what it is, because in essence, it's good to see the money, it's good to make that huge revenue leap, but from a personal level, energetically, everything is just a lot, and you've got to be prepared for that. The reason why profitability is so important to me is because profit allows you to do the things you want to do. Profit allows you to get your products on shelf. Profit allows you to create that new product you want to create. Profit allows you to even hire a team that will grow with you. Profit allows you to expand and get a fulfillment center or a warehouse. Without that profit, you're not going to have a sustainable business. So one of those shifts I want you to make is shifting from grow to shifting to growing profitably. So the next shift here that I want you to focus on is shifting from hustle and grind to shifting towards making strategic investments for growth. There's certain things that you will not be able to see. And true growth comes outside of yourself. It's very common to feel like because I've already made the first 100K, I can do it on my own. But I'm here to tell you that sometimes if you really want to make sustainable leaps, it's important for you to think about what are the strategic investments for growth that will allow me to do it. Do you need somebody who's going to support you in looking at your inventory demand? And do you need somebody who's going to support you in your business growth plan? Like really thinking about what does my business need right now to get to the next level? And in order for you to get yourself into that frame of reference, what I usually tell myself is, what does the future CEO of this brand think, do, and behave right now? If you were already making 500K, because now we're moving, you want to get to 500K, who would you be having on your team from a strategic standpoint? The reason I'm saying this is because there are three types of hires that you tend to have. You have one that helps you make decisions strategically. You have one that is a doer that just gets you to do things. And then you have one that creates more leverage of your time. You tend to have somebody who's going to help you with your operations and just free up your calendar as a CEO in order for you to do the things you want to do. What people in this stage do is they end up hiring a lot of doers, but the doers need your brain in order for them to execute. And I have a client right now that I work as a fractional CMO or a fractional marketing person on her brand, and my role is to play the strategic part, because when I came in, she had a lot of doers. She had an email marketing person, she had a graphic assistant, she had a production assistant, a product development assistant, she had a video assistant, she had all these assistants and contractors on her team. And she was like, Maureen, I feel like my team is holding me back from growing because they need a lot of me. They need a lot of me from marketing. And I was like, yes, because you've hired doers. So your role right now is to hire a strategic person that is going to be in between you and the doers. So ask yourself, what is the investment that I'm required to make right now in order for me to grow. Or the other shift and perspective I want you to have right now is I want you to stop outsourcing your marketing and bring it in-house. I want you to do your marketing. Why? Because at this point in time, you're learning the different ways to communicate with your audience. Your job is to become an expert in marketing. Like the client I've talked to you about, she's still responsible for her marketing. She's still responsible for writing her blogs. She's still responsible for doing her long form pieces of video content because the product is her product. Like she's the best person to communicate, but I'm responsible for figuring out how will that content be disseminated? How will we talk about the moments? What moments are we going to bring to life? How will the team help execute that? So this is why I want you to think about focusing on in-house marketing, because at the end of the day, you're still leaning into customer acquisition in order for you to grow your brand. Then once you've leaned into in-house marketing, you're becoming an expert in learning how to market your products. The next shift I'm going to focus on right now is I do not want you to add more, and I want you to lean into having a lot of constraints in your business. This is why I say this. When it comes to strategy, I know strategy is a word that is thrown out there, but strategy basically means how do I solve this problem? And if your goal is to solve a particular problem of getting to 500K, the more you add, the more hoops and loops you're going to have to jump. Let's say you decide, I'm gonna add an additional text message marketing into my business. This means that you were not doing it before. What does that look like for you in your business? You're going to have to shift your efforts from what you were currently doing to learning how to do text message marketing. Text message marketing has its own downfalls, and it also has its own successes. You're going to have to learn how to become an expert in text message marketing. So basically what I'm saying is every time you add something new, you're going to have to learn how to know that process really well and also jump a lot of hoops to become an expert at it. So if you're not at the stage to do that, you don't have the bandwidth. There's so much you're learning right now. So I want you to prioritize having a lot of constraints. What are the things I need to remove in my business? What do I need to become a master at? What are the simple processes? What is my lowest hanging fruit right now for me to see the next result in my business? And I want you to prioritize that. Then the next thing I want you to do, the reason why this is super duper important is because it's time for you to separate and know the difference between signal versus noise. In this stage, and it's just the times we live in right now, it's just, there's a lot of information on YouTube, on Instagram, and all those social platforms, and that can be so overwhelming. So your job as a CEO right now is to figure out what is it that can be customized to my brand. Is this noise? Is this a nice to have, a nice to hear? Or is this what my business needs at the moment? When you become laser focused on identifying what is noise and identifying that is a signal, you're going to be able to get to your next 500K because you're going to do it your way. You're going to implement the strategies that your brand needs. You're going to have a customized game plan and a customized roadmap to get you to where you want to be. That is what gets you there. As you can see, it's not about doing more. It's not about leaning into what other people are saying, but it's more about leaning into what works for you and what works for your brand and what has been designed for your brand, because I truly believe, brands are unique, and it is your job to bring the uniqueness out of your brand so that your audience can connect with. And the next thing you need to think about here is, have I implemented the systems for growth? Do I have a way in which I know what inventory is needed. I know what inventory is coming out. I know my out of stocks. Have I figured out how to marry the demand and supply of my products? Like, do I have a system where the demand side matches the supply side? I'm very good on the demand side, and I'm going to recommend my good colleague Donnell, who really focuses on matching your inventory with your marketing plan so that you know exactly how much inventory you need to produce, because this is what the demand, the marketing side shows. I'm going to put her details in the description box because she's done a phenomenal job with all my clients, because she's been able to create a spreadsheet or a database where I know that this is a goal of the client. I know why this is a goal for the client in this particular month and in this particular quarter. And it's my job to design a marketing plan that fuels the momentum of that inventory. That is what you need to focus on. And if you don't have it, start thinking about implementing it. Yes, those are the strategic shifts. Yes, I know sometimes it can be, oh my God, I've been doing something wrong. But I'm glad you landed on this video, because if you feel like you've not set up things the right way and you're looking for somebody to help you set it up the right way, I have an invitation for you. I'd love to have a conversation with you so we can talk about how I can best support you as a fractional member on your team, in the marketing team, to help you master the levels of growth, to help you build a community that adores your messaging, that's always driving repeat sales, and help you build a brand that eventually becomes a household name. I'm also going to help you figure out what are the systems that you need in your business. Like, we need to figure out how can we systematize your business so that you don't kill yourself. Like, what are the things we need to think about removing so you can have a business that runs like a well-oiled machine, because your growth is hidden in your data, and I want you to focus on becoming the creative and let me run your numbers. Let me look at what you're doing and give you the strategic, customized growth plan to get you to your next 500K. If this is something that you want to do, we're going to link my book a call link. Let's have a conversation and let's take your business to the next level, because everybody needs your product. They just need to hear you, find you, and we need to create a lot of space so that you can grow and scale. Thank you, brand builder. See you in the other video.